Okay, let's unpack this. We're opening the vault on a single, astonishingly ambitious source today.
Mm.
It's a 1979 address from Reverend Sun Myung Moon to hundreds of couples in a huge engagement ceremony.
And this document, I mean, it's so much more than just marriage advice.
Far more. It's a complete radical roadmap for world history, for theology, and, for geopolitical destiny.
It's fascinating synthesis, really. The address is called The Providential Foundation of the True Couple,
Right.
and it essentially claims that the entire path of human history hinges on the personal success of these individual men and women.
They're being told their commitment isn't just personal, it's epic defining.
Absolutely.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really grasp how this worldview operates. We need to see how the source connects the most intimate level marriage to, well, the global scale of political and cosmic conflict.
And understand the logic behind this claim that it's a shortcut to the kingdom of heaven.
Exactly. So let's start at the very beginning. According to the source, what is the grand fundamental problem with history that needs solving?
It all starts with the theological premise of the fall. When the first human ancestors fell, they denied God's purpose for creation.
Specifically, the ideal family.
Specifically that. So the source states that all of history, in God's eyes, has been a denial of a denial.
That phrase denial of a denial feels really loaded. Can you break that down for us a bit?
Sure, think of it this way. God's original ideal, the perfect family, was the first positive statement. The fall was the first denial of that ideal.
Okay.
So history then becomes this long, difficult process of denying that first failure. It's a struggle to build a foundation so strong that the original denial is just overturned, nullified.
So the whole point of history is to find one man and one woman who can finally do that.
Exactly. The true couple, as the source calls them. They have to have successfully gone beyond the realm of the fall.
And this restoration, it can't be a group effort, at least not at first.
No, that's a key point. It requires God to find one singular champion, an individual who starts this victorious standard,
Why alone?
because the fall happened inside the family structure. So the champion can't be supported by a heavenly family, because one doesn't exist yet. They have to struggle alone, relying only on God.
They have to, in the words of the address, conquer or separate from that fallen structure.
Precisely, to establish their own pure foundation.
That sounds incredibly difficult. So this individual, this Messiah figure, has to set a victorious standard through a mandatory three-stage formula. What are those stages?
The stages are nested. Success in one is the foundation for the next. The first and most critical is the family level.
And that's called the fiercest struggle.
It is, because it's closest to the origin of the fall. Success here means you've established authority and truth in your most immediate, most challenging relationships.
And if you can secure that foundation, what's next? The national level.
Yes. The champion then moves to confront the larger, let's call them satanic elements, in the nation. The source is clear that this champion will be rejected by Cain figures.
So people in power who should support him but don't.
Exactly. But the champion gathers support from the people he won over on the family level. They become his new foundation, his nucleus.
So the lower victory provides the support needed to face the higher opposition. That makes sense. Okay, now the final stage.
Once the national level is won, God pushes the champion to the world level, and the pattern just repeats. The world rejects him, but the people who accepted him nationally see this as an attack on their nation.
So they join the fight.
They join the world-level fight as a unified front.
And here's the absolute non-negotiable part that the address really hammers home. This one man has to fulfill all three stages, family, nation, and world, in his own lifetime.
That's the litmus test. Completing all three as the perfected Adam in one lifetime is the condition. It proves you've overcome the world.
Which brings us directly to the first coming of Jesus.
Right.
The source material says God prepared a 4,000-year foundation for Jesus as the first Messiah. And his mission wasn't just spiritual, it was very structural, very physical.
Oh, absolutely. The plan was incredibly detailed. Jesus had to unite the two layers of Jewish society, the religious establishment and the political realm.
One to protect the spiritual side, the other to protect him physically.
That was the idea. And that unity was tied to specific people, specific families.
Like who?
Well, the source points to the family of Zechariah and the family of Joseph. They were supposed to unite to face the national opposition. Critically, Judaism was meant to unite with Jesus first.
And if that had happened.
If that spiritual unity had happened, the political power of Israel would have followed.
So the failure, as described here, is incredibly specific. It's about human response. Now, where does the Roman Empire fit into this plan?
Rome was meant to be the opportunity, not the obstacle. It was the political equivalent of the world at that time. If Israel had united behind Jesus, Roman domination was the perfect link. He could have taken the battle to the worldwide level and completed that third stage.
Wow. So the crucifixion, which is seen as the central event of Christianity, was actually the result of the plan being derailed.
According to this view, yes. Because Jesus was unable to complete the 3 stages in his lifetime, the divine plan was deferred.
And this leads us to the 2,000 years since. The consequence of that failure is defined as indemnity.
Right, indemnity.
That's another one of the specialized terms. In this context, what does indemnity actually mean?
Indemnity here means paying back or restoring something that was lost, usually through suffering that matches the original failure.
So all of Christian history has been paying a debt.
In a way, the source explains that for 2,000 years, Christians have been paying this indemnity. And it wasn't just random suffering.
It was structural.
It was structural. They received persecution on all 3 levels that Jesus failed on. The family level being disowned, the national level persecution by Rome, and eventually the world level.
And this went on until Christendom was finally established worldwide.
Exactly. That global religious foundation is what was needed to sort of reset the clock and set the stage for the second coming.
Which is a powerful way to frame Christian history. It shifts everything into a deliberate, structural preparation. So now we're in the modern era.
And the requirements for the second coming are different. There needs to be a new geopolitical setup to avoid what happened the first time.
A modern Roman Empire and a modern Israel.
And the source gets very specific here about which nations carry this weight. Modern Rome has to be on God's side this time, defined by religious freedom.
America.
And the modern Israel is identified as Korea.
This pairing of America and Korea is not just politics, then.
Not at all. It's seen as a direct spiritual restoration of the original Rome-Israel relationship. It's meant to make restitution for that ancient failure.
And that's why, the source argues, America can't just pull out of Korea even if a president wants to.
Right. It mentions President Carter trying to disengage, but being unable to. Because it's a spiritual mandate. These 2 nations have an inseparable destiny.
This elevates the conflict in Korea to something cosmic. How does the source define the 38th parallel?
It's not just a border. It's the literal boundary between 2 worlds, between heaven and Satan.
Wow.
So the Korean War wasn't just a national conflict. It was the Cain and Abel clash playing out on a worldwide level.
And where does the Unification Church place itself in all of this?
Right at the very center. The address says unification ideology is the core and soul of the ideology against communism.
So they are the archenemy.
They see themselves as the primary archenemy, which is why they claim communists worldwide see Reverend Moon that way.
This self-identification, it leads to a very specific way of interpreting the political opposition they were facing in the late 70s.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting, because political conflict is completely reinterpreted as spiritual warfare.
You mean things like the Koreagate scandal?
The source dismisses Koreagate as a paper tiger. All that opposition from the U.S. government and Congress isn't seen as legitimate political scrutiny.
It's seen as what?
As opposition instigated by communist agents who have infiltrated the U.S. government.
Infiltrated the government itself.
Yes, to discredit their main ideological enemy. So this whole clash, Congress, the Unification Church, the Korean government, it's not a political scandal. It's a worldwide historical event, a battle between heaven and Satan.
The confidence, then, given that interpretation, must have been immense.
It is. Reverend Moon says he's unafraid to speak this truth and warns that the Carter administration must repent. He says he knows government spies are listening to every word, but he keeps going.
And he sets a very clear timeline for victory.
A very clear timeline. 1976 is the victorious crossing point. The spiritual foundation was secure then. Then 1977 to 79 are the 3 most vital years.
And after 1979?
After 79, he says the Unification Church will go more and more on the offensive, and he predicts the American public will eventually come around and see them as champions to fight communism.
So we have this massive global spiritual battle, America and Korea playing these ancient roles. How does this translate down to those newly engaged couples sitting in the audience in 1979? What's their job in all this?
It all comes down to one thing: the home church mandate. This is where the global conflict is miniaturized, made personal.
This is their arena.
This is their arena to raise themselves beyond the fall and receive their inheritance.
And what does that mean physically? What do they have to do?
Each couple is assigned a small microcosm of the entire universe.
Coaches.
360 homes, usually in their local area. Their job is to win over this community, to spiritually cleanse it. And this is defined as a shortcut to the kingdom of heaven.
And this hyperlocal work is supposed to fix huge societal problems.
Yes. Success in home church is meant to address the racial problem in America, which is seen as a failure of the American ideal. It's also meant to cleanse the moral degradation of American youth.
That is a tremendous burden to place on a young couple. How is this mission supposed to be a training ground for their marriage?
The connection is brutally direct. They're told that if you can win over hostile or apathetic strangers in your 360 homes, then you can build a successful family.
The logic being, if you can love them, you can certainly live with your spouse and in-laws.
Exactly. The community struggle is preparation for the domestic struggle.
And they are warned about suffering.
Oh, yes. The rejection, the ridicule, all the persecution they receive in home church will make any later marital conflict seem like nothing in comparison.
So that external suffering builds an internal spiritual firewall for the marriage.
That's the idea. The document also warns that Satan will directly interfere in the marriage itself by tempting them to criticize each other, focus on faults. And the solution is very specific to the exact opposite of what Satan hopes.
Stay humble, serve each other.
Yes. If they do that, Satan has no foothold to break the marriage.
This mission is also where the ultimate spiritual restoration happens. The unification process. How does winning a home church actually restore history?
It unites Cain and Abel, the brothers, within that local community. By serving them, the couple overcomes the original divisions of the fall.
And the community itself has a say in the marriage.
It does. The source says that two home church areas uniting allows the couple to actually join as husband and wife, but only after they get the affirmation of their communities. The community sanctions the marriage.
And if they pull this off, if the foundation is cleansed, what's the biggest spiritual payoff?
This is the ultimate goal. Success in home church allows the parents to bear sinless children.
Sinless children?
Yes. Because the Cain-Abel division has been resolved, the foundation is pure, and children born on that foundation can be offered as a pure, victorious offering to God.
That is an immense claim. That local community work can redefine the very nature of human birth.
It also adds urgency. The source says if the parents fail, the responsibility and the tribulation pass directly to their children.
Who then have to go through it all themselves.
Right.
And finally, the address sets a massive global deadline for all of this.
It does. 1981 is the final year of the third 7-year course. After that, from 1981 to 2000, the plan is to organize the entire world into home church sectors.
The structure for total global victory all laid out.
Ready for execution.
So let's just step back. What does this all mean for us today? We've covered a single address that claims one individual indemnified 2,000 years of Christian history in about 20 years.
Redefined international politics by casting America and Korea as modern Rome and Israel.
And at the same time, said a couple's eternal fate hinges on winning over 360 homes to fight communism.
The scope is just breathtaking. What makes it so compelling is how it frames deeply personal effort, visiting homes, enduring rejection, as a direct contribution to this epic, cosmic conflict between heaven and Satan.
Every small act of service has huge significance.
Every suffered rejection is an ideological surrender paper in advance from the forces of darkness.
It connects the smallest personal action to the largest possible scale of cosmic history.
Exactly. And the source says that by being victorious in their home church area, these couples are granted a specific, profound authority.
What kind of authority?
The authority to direct the spirit world to assist them. And this raises an important question for you, the listener, to mull over. According to this intense worldview, what kind of practical, tangible authority that can even command the spirit world does a deep, victorious spiritual conviction grant you in the physical world?
We'll leave you with that thought. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the providential blueprint.